Hey everyone, there are a number of records that kind of flew under the radar for me recently. Stick around and we'll dive in. A lot of times I'll see records, I think I'm paying attention to what's coming out or who's releasing what, and I'm kind of a hawk on social media and other tools out there to just kind of see what's coming. But like anyone else, there's stuff that just gets released and you're like, whoa, that's did not know that even existed. A lot of times it tends to be with maybe some smaller acts or just independent release, and sometimes a release that maybe is a borderline bootleg, but they'll come out and you just kind of miss them and you'll catch them after the fact. So this is just a handful of records that I've bought in the last year or so. Even less than that, more of the last few months, and just ones that I spotted them and decided to take a chance on it. So let's take a look. Townes Van Zandt, live in Helsinki, 1993. This is off of the Floating World record label. We're going to call this one a gray market release. Not quite, official, but maybe not necessarily unofficial because it came from Europe. So it's like sort of a bootleg, but maybe not. But it's a live performance, just solo. It's just Townes Van Zandt. I was in the record store. I was just kind of like flipping through the country bin and like, let me just see if there's anything there. And spotted this, and the guy that was ringing me up, he's like, yeah, I just bought that one myself too, and didn't have a chance to listen to it at that point. But really cool one. It's kind of like just a coffee house type of performance, really. I don't know a whole lot about the location, the Tavistia in Helsinki, but it's got some cool stuff. It opens up with Dollar Bill Blues, which is probably my favorite Townes song, so I had to take a chance on that. But this one sounds really cool. Check it out if you can. I've got a pretty full run of Fleetwood Mac material. This one, it's kind of another like bootleg, gray market, sort of official, maybe not. Early live and studio recordings. I actually thought I had most of these recordings on other releases, and so I kind of just ignored it, I think. And then when I realized that there were some things on here that I'd actually never seen before or never heard, particularly there were a lot of songs on here from Christine McVie, or at the time was Christine Perfect. So it was kind of early material when she joined the band. So this is a limited 3 LP set to 2000. This is number 585. But it's just that early bluesy stuff from Fleetwood Mac. Other than Christine McVie being in the band. If you're into kind of like the Buckingham Nicks stuff from Fleetwood Mac, this is pretty unrecognizable. This is just your bluesy era of Fleetwood Mac. But it's a cool pickup, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. All right, this one is most certainly a bootleg. Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Woodstock 69. I didn't know that this had gotten a pressing. I have been trying to pick up as many complete concerts on vinyl from Woodstock as possible, and most of the ones I have are official. So I have the Jefferson Airplane, Jimi Hendrix, Santana, I think Johnny Winter. Most of them were either record store day releases, or they were just released officially at some point. I do have another bootleg, which is The Who, but I had always wanted to hear the full complete concert of the CSNY performance. It had never been released in full up until the 50th anniversary when they did that mega CD box, which included the full performance of every act from Woodstock. But they limited it to like 1,969 copies. It was very expensive. I have no idea what the source material is, but I presume this is sourced digitally from that official CD box set and then just pressed unofficially. It sounds really good. It's a little light on the audio, but you just crank the volume a bit and it sounds good. There's no distortion or anything, and it's got the full performance. So you do get songs that you've heard already, like Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, but it does go through the entire performance that you get. I think particularly the Neil Young stuff was the tougher material to find, because I don't think he was really thrilled with it, and they didn't want to release it officially other than agreeing to allow it to be in that CD box. But very cool release. Sounds good. If you can get a chance to find this one, go for it. I buy a lot of albums from Dualtone, and I actually have another one of these comps from, I think it would be, I guess, the 20th anniversary of Dualtone. I didn't realize they put one out for the 15th anniversary. It's just a collection of songs from artists on their labels, you know, notably the Lumineers. So they have the cover of the Dylan song "Boots of Spanish Leather," and it's just got another, like Langhorne Slim is on here, and Guy Clark and June Carter Cash. It's basically just artists from their label celebrating 15th anniversary. I had no idea this ever came out, but I spotted it on the website and got a pretty big discount on it. So figured, you know, their comps are really good. I've got, you know, as I said, I think it's the 20th anniversary, and then I think I have a Dualtone Christmas album, which is pretty cool from their artists. So yeah, was not disappointed. So check this one out if you're into kind of those indie releases from Dualtone, you know, Lumineers, that type of thing. All right, probably the most active member of R.E.M. since R.E.M.'s breakup has been Peter Buck. He has done just a total... He's done a lot of, you know, like, it was the Baseball Project. There's a number... He's had his own solo albums. There's another band he's in. I can't think of it. It's kind of a little bit of a you know, more of an alt-rock sound, which that band name is escaping me at the moment, but he just seems to keep popping up over and over and over again on different projects. A year or so ago, I found one called, he did it with Luke Haynes, called Beat Poetry for Survivalists. He just plays guitar, Luke Haynes does the vocals, and but I ended up picking this one up. I had no idea this was released in the last year or so. Luke Haynes and Peter Buck, all the kids are super bummed out. It's just if you haven't checked out the other one, Beat Poetry for Survivalists, check that one out first. But give this one a listen. It's equally as good, and definitely one that flew out under the radar that I wish I had found sooner. Okay, another artist, and this is, again, it's an album that I had no idea came out. Benson from the Raconteurs put out another solo album, I think at the end of last year, end of 2022, called Low Key. The funny thing is it's got this hype sticker on the cover, but it's actually like printed on the cover, the hype, which is probably the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I went to, you know, carefully remove the shrink wrap because it is a gatefold, and I like to save them, and I get the shrink wrap off, and the sticker is still there, and I go to, you know, like, can I gently remove it? And you can't, because it's actually printed on the album. But it's a cool solo album. I think he may play all the instruments on here. I couldn't find any other information. And it's original material, I think, largely, but he does do a cover of the Jerry Rafferty song Right Down the Line, which for some reason keeps popping up in like every TV show I watch right now. Not his version, but the original. But he does a pretty good version that's pretty true to the original. But, you know, if you're into Brendan Benson, the Raconteurs, that kind of thing, good album to have. Check this one out. All right, finally, I ended up stumbling on that Brendan Benson album because I also stumbled on this and bought them from the same place. It's like the label that put him out. The Replacements Live, a Riot Fest Toronto. This is an official Replacements. It's supposedly the first in a series of live recordings, kind of like official bootlegs from the Replacements. This is that, I think it's a 2011, 2012 concert. It was their reunion show, the first time they performed together as a band in something like 20 years. Now, I'll call it official, but a friend of mine said, who also bought this, said it's a little bit of a dubious official release. Apparently, Tommy Stinson made the deal to get this released and get that series going. Paul Westerberg apparently did not sign off on it and was not happy with this, so maybe a little drama in Replacements Bandcamp now. You know, so we'll see what happens if more copies of other shows come out. You know, I think for Replacements, most of their reissues in the last few years have been coming from Rhino. So this is off of I don't even know what label this is. It just says there's a middle finger sticking up at me, and it says, like Middle Finger Records. So take that for whatever that's worth. But it is a really cool concert. I mean, this thing must have been professionally recorded. Sounds great. I mean, they play all the songs you'd expect, from their whole era, more or less, and of course their classic Alex Chilton. But yeah, if you get a chance, check that one out. It's apparently limited, so if you're into the replacements, you'll want to pick that one up. Anyway, that is it for kind of those albums that flew under the radar for me. Any albums you pick up recently that you just didn't know about or you want to tip me off on, let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, give this video a thumbs up, and we'll be back again soon. Take care.